All right, next up we have Trey Ogden versus Kurt Holobaugh. Trey Ogden, the Samurai Ghost. We have him at 16-6. He's coming off that no contest. However, he should have probably won that against Nicholas Mata. If you actually watched the fight, he was well on his way to a decision victory, probably even a submission victory. But it's a premature stoppage, and they made that into no contest. So unfortunately, he didn't get that win on his record. He's facing off against Kurt Holobaugh, 20-7. He's coming off of that victory over Austin Hubbard via triangle choke about 6 months ago in his UFC debut. I believe this guy has fought in the UFC for a very long time. I think he went actually like 0-6 or something in the UFC. Let me just double check that. Yeah, so before that, he actually lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he got 5 losses and 1 no contest in the UFC. So interesting stuff from that. Looking at this right now, the odds for Trey Ogden -152 open up at -150. So not too much line movement, obviously, but people are kind of going back and forth between going with Kurt or going with Trey here. I think that this is going to be, once again, I think it's going to be another close fight. It's going to be this fight card is going to have just a lot of close decision fights, in my opinion, or fights where either one side has the advantage in one area and the other has the advantage in the other area, and it could be a quick finish that way. But I think most of these fighters are pretty evenly matched. Then it kind of makes sense because if you look at the odds, there's a lot of close odds here. Not a lot of heavy favorites. Like mostly every fight is less than a 2-1 favorite, except for the main event. So I mean, yeah, just interesting odds there. Um, I'm gonna lean towards Ogden here. I mean, I feel like he's going to be just the fighter that I can trust more in this case. I feel like Kurt is gonna land more volume and pushes enough of the pace to just put Trey on his back foot. However, to really beat Trey Ogden, I think that you need to be like a pressure fighter or someone that can do that for all 15 minutes. So because Kirk is going to be a little bit kind of in and out with his game style and game plan, I feel like Trey can get his game going at certain points in the fight, but it's going to be a very close fight to call. I mean, Trey Ogden, I personally like him as a fighter. I mean, I think he's a grappler first, and he has good athleticism as well. Trey is also a decent striker for being a grappling heavy fighter. Decent power in his strikes, good amount of club and subs in his career. I think Trey has a 14% takedown accuracy, so not the greatest takedown accuracy, but he will continue to shoot for takedowns, and he like single double legs to just try to get the fight to the ground when he sees an opening for a level change, because on the ground in his jiu-jitsu game, that is where he shines. So I think that Trey, he does have a tendency to not push as best of a fight on the feet, like a pace on the feet. And he can have bouts of inactivity while he's patiently waiting to level change for a takedown. Waits a little too much for my taste, and it can look bad against a fighter who pressures him on the feet. But we saw in his last fight, Nicholas Mata, I mean, he was the one doing the pressuring, and he was the much better fighter overall. So, I think he had a great showing here. I think he's improved a lot since he's been in the UFC. Kurt, it's good striker, good jiu-jitsu skills on the mat. He can also work with combos on the feet as well. I think he counters pretty well and uses his footwork to get in and out, like I mentioned. Has a good, nice jab. Grappling is, good from top or bottom. I think he's also a sub threat. This guy loves to finish his fights. I mean, looking at his record, most of his wins are going to be via finish. Most of them are going to be, via decision. I mean, submission. So, he hasn't had the best run in the UFC in the past, but maybe he's turning a new leaf now. I just think this fight's going to be too close to call. I mean, I'm going to ultimately pass on this fight, but the pick here is going to be Trey Ogden by decision for me. Looking at the over, 2.5, I mean, it's -155 right now, so I think even that's a little sketchy. Fight goes to distance -125. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of close calls in this particular fight, and I'm probably just going to stay away from it because I don't think I have a good read one way or the other about how it's going to go due to how close it's going to be.